Marsha, thank you so much for joining us and congratulations on your nomination for South African of the Year, the only female in the group. It's nice to see some girl power.
Yeah, well, I think it's actually perfect timing with it being Women's Month. So it's really an honor, and I really feel, wow, it's still a lot to absorb.
Tell us, how did you start playing hockey?
I started playing hockey largely due to my mom's influence. She was quite a talented hockey player herself. So we grew up on the side of a hockey field.
Wow.
And then my first hockey game was when I was 6 years old at Randburg Primary School, when I begged and begged and begged. I was too young to play, so begged for an opportunity to play since I'd been at all the training sessions. And eventually I got the opportunity to play, and I ran away from the ball, which was really funny. But thereafter, I never stopped loving the game.
Marsh was always very happy, cheerful, hyperactive, kept us on our toes. And she was always curious, asked lots of questions, and you always had to have answers ready for her. She was a pleasure to have as a child. She really, really was.
Not naughty at all?
No, not really. I can't recall anything like really naughty. I remember once she got into court, she was a bit upset with one of the teachers because the teacher had punished her for something, and the first thing I asked was, what did you do wrong? Were you to blame for it? And she said, well, I was talking, but nothing really devious or anything like that, no.
And did you always know that you'd make a professional career out of it?
No, I think we grew up in a completely different era where you almost, your future was a bit unknown, and hockey wasn't really, it still isn't professional, so you couldn't really make, and you still can't really make a professional career out of it. But when the opportunities came, I definitely took advantage of them, and I don't regret it at all.
We're here at the Randburg Stadium, and a lot of the South African women's matches are played here, but you're not from Gauteng. Tell us a bit about where you grew up. Well,
I grew up in Durban, and actually for the last 8 years I've been a Gauteng girl. So but I'm born and bred in Durban, and I really enjoyed it. I think Durban is so beautiful. Not saying that Joburg isn't beautiful, but I think
you do miss the beach.
Yes. I grew up, I went to Northlands Girls High School, and one of the things that definitely took for granted was sitting in the classroom and looking out the window when you're having like your daydreaming moments, and actually looking out onto the ocean. I think that is just things like natural beauty that we often just take for granted.
And what do you like most about Joburg?
Joburg, I love the city life. I love just the fact that everything is moving and at pace, and there's always excitement and always something new to explore.
Marsha, you obviously just got married. Tell us a bit about your husband.
My husband is also extremely passionate about hockey, so it won't ever die.
Pressure on the kids.
But he's Dutch, so I've actually in the last 5 years spent a lot of time in the Netherlands before I met him, playing hockey there, and then we met and everything happened really quickly, and we're now married for 1.5 years, but he's a hockey coach, and so hockey is still, it always will be a very prominent factor in our lives.
Do you think there'll be lots of pressure on the kids?
Well, if we have it, then yes.
Tell us a bit about how you met. Do you have a special story?
Not really. We met at a hockey tournament, and then it just kind of started from there.
Tell us a bit about how a day in the life of Marsha Cox looks. When do you practice? What do you do?
Okay, well, normally I would be in the Netherlands. I play for a club there, which is the Dutch league is semi-professional. So that's exactly why I made the choice to go there, and it's the best league in the world. So a normal day in my life would be planning around hockey training. We train 5 times a week at the club, and then your other 2 days you spend, because we have double sessions on a Tuesday, double sessions on a Thursday, and then a Friday training session. And a Sunday is your competition game. So
hectic.
it's a full week. And on a Monday, I generally like to take that as my rest day and just relax and recover from the week before. But yeah, most of the time you're literally planning around your training and trying to manage yourself as best you can, because you've also got to follow a national training program that comprises of fitness and other physical training. So you need to fit that into your week.
Have you had any serious injuries?
Fortunately not, touch wood. Just a few niggles here and there that keep me out for no longer than a week.
What is life like living in the Netherlands?
It's challenging. A lot of South Africans have the ambition of playing hockey in the Netherlands, and a lot of South Africans have, and it's extremely exciting, and it's also an honor to be part of that setup, because it is semi-pro.
Yes.
And it's not normal for them to take players from a country ranked 11th in the world, so with them being number one. So it's a huge honor when you do get selected for a club team there, but it is challenging at first with a different language and a very different culture. But once you've adapted to it and you integrate quite well, then it really is fun.
And do you have a favorite food there, or are you still getting used to it?
I tend to cook a lot of South African food, so
And your husband enjoys it?
He loves it. He loves it. So that helps a lot.
What special food did he introduce you in the Netherlands?
The Dutch food is not really my favorite. So they have one of his favorites is called stampot, which is probably what he eats whenever I'm away, because I don't like it at all.
What is it?
It's pretty much mash, but with stampot has got, is it cauliflower in it as well, and then they just like mash up the potatoes and the cauliflower together, and
Is that it?
and you eat it with wors. I don't really like it.
I can understand why. Do you have something specific that you must eat when you come home?
Oh, there are a few things, apart from all the things that my mom has to cook for me.
She's busy when you're here.
Yeah, well, she loves it, I think. But Nando's is definitely on the top of that list. So it's more like fast food.
Okay.
Nando's and Steers are the two that go on top of the list.
Quite a few special dishes, but she's quite humble when she comes home. She asked the other day, she said it was a bit chilly, and she said, are we having sampan beans? She likes biryani. She likes those dishes that I think are probably also childhood memories for her. On a Sunday I'd cook a pot of biryani because it was something that I could cook and leave on the stove and go off for the day, and we'd go to the hockey field for the day, and I'd play and come home and dinner's cooked, because it's that kind of meal.
Tell us a bit about the culture in Netherlands. What was the most difficult thing for you to adapt to?
I think the most difficult thing to adapt to would have been just the outspoken nature of the youth. And when you have members of the youth teams training with you, just the fact that they are so overconfident.
Oh, really?
And so outspoken, that's a big adjustment to make.
You're obviously the most capped South African athlete, over 300 caps. I mean, that's fantastic in itself. How do you choose a highlight in your career?
Wow. It's quite difficult because actually it's been 13 and a half years so far in the national team. So it's a lot of time and a lot of great memories. But there's so many highlights. I think one would be my first game for South Africa. It was, I remember just being so nervous but so excited. A dream come true. And then attending the Olympic Games. Athens was my first one, so that was also just an unbelievable experience. In life in general, well, I think one of the things that hockey has highlighted in life in general is just the importance of friends and family, of course, but in every little adventure that you go on, you create bonds with so many different people.
Who would you say has been the most inspirational influence in your life?
it would be my mom. She was the reason I started playing hockey. But we've had quite a ride together, you know, when I think about when I reflect back on my youth and how important my mom was for me in my personal development and also just in the support that she has offered me throughout my life, and she's definitely the most influential person in my life.
I think for me it was, I think when she took the major step from being a young hockey player, a young girl as a hockey player, into a young woman as a hockey player, because she was still fairly young.
Yes.
And she was playing with more experienced players, and then the opportunity to go to the Athens Olympics together. I was part of the management team, and she was a player in the team.
Oh, wow.
And actually watching her take that next big leap, you know, I think for me that's special. That was special. Now, I've had the privilege of going to 3 Olympics, watching her participate at all 3, and those are always going to be memories, good memories, proud moments as a parent.
And in your career, has there been a specific hockey player that has inspired you?
Yes, quite a few, but Jill Montague, she was the first non-white to play for South Africa in the inception point, like,
yes,
you know.
Yes.
So she also was one of my coaches during my youth. She was a true inspiration to a lot of non-white hockey players of my generation. So she definitely inspired me.
Now, you've traveled all around the world. How difficult is it living out of a suitcase?
Firstly, it's very difficult to pack the suitcase because you never know what to pack in. So that's the first challenge. And then, like this morning, you wake up and you go, oh my God, I don't know what to wear. But I don't think it's the most comfortable situation to be in, but you get used to it after a while. And I must admit, my packing skills have improved.
Nice. Is there something that you pack in specific every time you go somewhere?
The one thing that I definitely always make sure that I never forget is underwear. As long as I can get underwear, the rest I can find when I'm there.
True. And of course, if you do plan, you will plan to retire one day. Hopefully it's not anytime soon. What do you plan to do after that? Have you given it any thought?
Well, the nature of hockey is that it's an amateur sport still. Well, in South Africa, it's not even semi-pro. So with playing hockey in the Netherlands and getting a taste of what it's like and something I would really like to channel a lot of my energy into supporting a more professional structure here in South Africa. Definitely to get back into the corporate world, and I've had a taste of it and I really enjoy it, and I love the idea of waking up with a definite purpose for that day and going out to achieve a set goal and then going back home. You know, like you almost have completion for each day. I quite like that.
What is your favorite place in South Africa?
My mother's house.
Tell us why.
No. Well, it's just so comfortable.
It's home.
It's home, exactly. There's no place like home. But South Africa is so beautiful. I think Cape Town is definitely one of the most beautiful places. Every time we go into it, then you just driving back to the hotel, you almost just can't get enough of the views and the sights. And I think it's only when you're away from South Africa that you actually appreciate the natural beauty that we have.
What is your dream for South Africa and South African people in general?
My dream for South Africa is still very much the same as I think most people's dreams for the last 20 years, is that to still have total integration and to overcome certain boundaries or perceptions, particularly culturally. I think that in sport, I'd like to see us, because we already compete with the best, but I'd like to see us manage our athletes like the best in the world.
What is your dream for Marsha?
First of all, happiness. I just think happiness is probably the most important thing that we should all have in our lives. So for me, for her to be happy would make me happy. And then I think she's lived a lot of her dreams, and to just continue.
Marsha, it's quite difficult for women to break through the boundaries here in South Africa. What is the way to move forward in getting women prominent in society?
I think it's a worldwide challenge in getting women more prominent in society, but I think that we need to definitely celebrate and acknowledge the success of women and the successful women in our country. We definitely need to make them more known to the general public, and also we need to continue to inspire our youth and let them know that they can be anything that they want to be. And I think we need to break down certain stereotypes so that we don't force the future generations to go through the same challenges that the past generations have been through.
And just lastly, if you had to describe South Africa in one word, what would it be?
I think the word I would use is amazing.
It doesn't get better than that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm Marsha Cox and I'm proudly South African.